second session. So the next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2014-1885, adopting the 2015 budget.
I was going to tell you. Here we are. December 8th, so last year was December 9th when I asked council to approve my first budget here. In 6 years, we'll be doing it in November. So, that's just kind of a bad joke, but okay. Anyway, we've been through 3 council review days. We have October 22nd, which was an official budget workshop that was not on a Monday or a Tuesday due to holidays. On the 27th, we had the first hearing that was based on revenues. We had a PowerPoint presentation on both those, 22nd and 27th. On November 10th, we had another workshop and another presentation. And then on December 1st, we had our last workshop by State RCW and also another presentation. There were a lot of questions asked and good answers, I hope, and we moved on. And I told you in my report a few of the changes we made to the final budget. And so the mayor worked with staff and department heads. When we gave her the preliminary budget, we went over that and we went back to staff. We did some more work and we came back with a preliminary budget, which came to council with her budget message. And then I told you all the rest. And so we're asking that you consider this a second reading. Let me explain readings too. In the old days, not so many years ago, we would have to have 2 readings to pass an ordinance where you'd vote on it twice. That's not the case any longer. However, we consider the first reading when it comes to workshop for you to consider and discuss, and then if you so wish, either it goes passed forward to the next meeting for second reading and passage, or a vote anyway, or it goes to committee. And so that was last week, and now we're at the second reading for the 2015 budget. We've added in a few things that council requested, such as the breakdown of payroll and where people spend their time percentage-wise. And we've also, I added in this last week, interfund transfers and how they relate to different funds. I thought that would be interesting for you to know going forward. We have all the narratives from each department, some kind of wordy and some very short. And then we have the reporting section has the funds by department and has some graphs and pie charts. This is the second year I've done this with staff and with the mayor, and I think the budget's better this year, partly because we have much better software. And also we've put more time into working the kinks out and understanding the city better, especially me. And so I'm hopeful next year to even make it a better budget, which is even easier to understand and has easier places for everybody to ask questions and have input. So every year my goal continues to grow, so it's easier for everybody to be a part of it, to understand, because this document is probably the single most significant document the council will use in 2015. With the mayor to help govern the city.
Questions from council? None?
I have one question.
Okay.
On the salary schedule,
Mm-hmm.
there's a minimum and a maximum. Is that for, like, if there's overtime?
No.
I always wondered that.
Okay.
Okay.
The minimum is the bottom. Let's say we have, I'll give you an example. For the unions, they all work like this, where you have a certain minimum and certain maximum for each step. So what we do is we take what the union has for where the employees will probably start the year or be close to, and they end the year, somewhere in that range. It has, by state law, it has to cover the range. And so for non-union, such as myself, it can be anywhere in between there, and we try to do like an average. So we look at, as the mayor was talking about before, we look at what the state for non-union, we look at what our AWC has in their salary survey and what the average is for cities our size. And then we put those two over there, and we hope that everybody, those two ranges, And what the goal is to make sure that everybody on staff is falling between those ranges, which means they have some experience, and if you're at the top of the range, you have more experience. And we cannot supersede those ranges without council approval in 2015. Does that help you understand that?
Yeah.
Good, good, sure.
Any other questions from council?
This week, or later part of last week, I thought we were just gonna have a second reading tonight. I didn't realize we were voting on the budget, so I started making some questions and scrutinizing some things. Now, in the proposal here, I talked to Richard today, and the 3 cars are in there, and the new officer is in there. Because I don't have any documents in front of me that says this. Spoke to him about the 2 vehicles for public works, and they're in there. I went and talked with Lance about those, and his plans are we will evaluate the present vehicles that we have before we just run out and buy. But we'll be replacing, proposal right now is to replace 3. We have 1 vehicle that apparently just has a fuel tank on it. It's basically not used for anything else, and convert that to a fuel trailer, so we would not have a vehicle with insurance, so forth, the maintenance of a vehicle, just for fuel purposes. And then the other 2 would be more service trucks than we have now. So they would carry more parts on them and more tools, hand tools with them and everything else. So when they get out to emergency break or just a regular maintenance day or whatever, they don't have to jump in the rig and run back to the shop again and get a union or a coupler or a pipe wrench or whatever. They run back and forth, but they don't have the necessary tools on. So my suggestion is that somebody from the Public Works Committee kind of work with Lance and make sure that then the Public Works Committee give the proposal to the council when it comes time to buy these vehicles. Actually, so just to keep the council abreast of why we have them. That way, when we get a call from a citizen saying, gosh, you bought a bunch of new trucks, they didn't drop a new truck off at Tiger's house too? We only bought 2 instead of 3. Anyway, and the other thing I am finding out is that in the salary schedule, since we did not get a salary spreadsheet, I find out in talking to Richard today that we have 2 employees that got raises that is figured in there. I spoke with 2 of the members of the Finance Committee this afternoon. They knew nothing of this. I knew nothing of it. So Amy and Kelly both have 2% increase in salary figured into this budget. I'm just making the council aware, because I don't think any council member was aware that there was increases in salaries figured into that budget outside of proposed union negotiation increases.
And those increases were within the range that was.
I realize they're within the range, but still.
Just we didn't go outside the range that was supposed to.
Yeah.
They're related to COLA as well. Cost of living adjustment.
We usually get salary spreadsheets that show prior and present salaries. I have not seen one. I tried to get a hold of one on Friday and I couldn't reach anybody, so.
I'll talk with you about that, I'm not sure what kind of spreadsheet you're talking about. We do have a real detailed spreadsheet on what everybody makes and how it's broken down in benefits and whatnot, if you want to see.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
That's not something that we.
No, so we're within approved range. Yep. Councilmember Case?
I do hear what Councilmember Steiger's saying. I mean, we negotiate a contract with our bargaining units, and part of that contract includes language tied to COLA increases, and we vote to approve a contract that has that. And I think just in good practice, at least at a minimum, it should be brought to the Finance Committee's attention if there's going to be COLA adjustments on non-represented members, so that we're at least aware that that's going to be the request. I understand that it might be within the range, but if it makes the council feel more comfortable having that knowledge, I think we should at least address it at the Finance Committee level, and then if we want to discuss it at a council meeting, then at a workshop or something, it can be brought up there as well.
I have absolutely no issue with that. I'm sure none of the staff. I guess if you could put it on me, it was within the range. Okay.
Are you talking about the council having to give approval?
Just so
Just made
well,
aware
as long
of
as
it.
it's within the range, I don't think there isn't a need for the mayor to seek approval, because it stays within the range, but a heads up.
That was on me.
Just a courtesy.
It was on me because I could have made that part of what the change.
Okay.
Because I
It's
could,
duly noted and will happen moving forward.
if I could just clarify one more thing, because last Monday, we had a statement made about increases in salaries by a citizen, and, I mean, we had no way to make any comment on that because we weren't aware. Just, it's embarrassing as far as I'm concerned as a council member to be met on the street and say, hey, did you know your Joe down at City Hall got a 5% increase in salary? I mean, it's embarrassing to me not to be made aware of it.
Duly noted. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Any other comments regarding the 2015 budget from the council? What's council's pleasure?
Move to approve ordinance 2014-1885.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember John?
We've passed it, we've discussed it, we've public commented on it. It's coming to the end of the year. It's pretty well much overdue budget as far as the preparation and the presentation of it, and it's time to move forward.
Councilmember Olivera?
I'm so excited that this budget is coming in before 2015, and actually, good job. And that's all I have to say.
Further comments from council? Councilmember Case?
I'd just like to say that Richard did a lot of work ensuring that we balance the general fund revenues based on projections and expenditures. I think he did a really good job of laying it out so that it's more easily understood than last year's budget. It's still overwhelming, I think, for people who aren't used to seeing stuff like this, but it makes a lot better sense. It's well organized and a lot easier to follow than last year's budget. Like I said, he did a good job of balancing the funds for us so that we have a good guideline to follow or template to follow for the year to ensure that we stay with the budget.
Further comments from council? Councilmember Steiger?
So I'd like to come and thank Richard for all of the work that he did put in, and also the Finance Committee. They put a lot of hours in this. And just to make it very clear, the budget is a guideline, and because the revenues projected and everything else are not in stone, and so we always go through this, and the first quarter we need to be making budget adjustments, and we need to stay on top of our revenues and our expenditures, because this is a very tight and close budget, so it's very important that we stay on top of them. We did a very poor job of doing that a couple of years ago, and luckily enough, we came through and we had some real critical areas, and so just because something is not in the budget doesn't mean that we may not be able to find the funding for it and still be able to do it.
As you'll see at next week's council meeting with the budget amendment for 2014. Any further comments from council regarding the 2015 budget? Comments from the audience regarding the 2015 budget? Jean Fancher.
It's kind of bad when you're the only audience left. Oh.
Media.
You're still
We
there,
missed Sean.
you wait, Tom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jean Fancher, 3724 55th Avenue South. Well, I'm pleased to hear there have been some changes made in the budget, and my comments in the last couple of weeks have been mostly more like devil's advocate or poking the bear with a stick. I know that over the last 14 years, there have been, 5, maybe 6 finance directors, 4 city clerks, possibly 5. How many mayors? 5? 5 mayors, and only 1 staff member who has been consistent the whole time, and that was the public safety director. So in that time, it's been much easier for the public safety director to advocate the position of his department and get consistent requests out to the council, whereas the other departments have been rolling over and changing, and then, of course, there was the troubles, which we won't mention, which made it difficult to get a budget out. And in the process, I've thought that some things have been missed. The city is adding more parkland to meet its levels of service because population is growing. And so as a planning document or as a policy document, I'm trying to encourage the council to look down the road and be proactive about putting things in the budget or questioning why things aren't in the budget. Regarding, as Kate said, we're going to throw a blade on the mower. Well, it's bigger than that. If you start to develop West Hill Passive Park on the 3rd Avenue and move along getting some of the impediments out of the way up the ravine, then, picnic benches, signs, design, things like that need to be included. Here in this budget, account number 525, disaster emergency, $1,600. This is from the budget that was given out last week. We talked about generators. I hope that's in the capital facility side. But disaster and emergency planning is probably going to take more than $1,600. The other low one here, legislative. That's the salary for the mayor and the council. And one of the things I'd like to suggest is that you gentlemen and ladies have an administrative aide who can help keep track of stuff, not just rely on the executive director, because on the legislative side, you have responsibilities that aren't covered by the executive or the city administrator. It's just the town is growing, population is increasing, and so, to me, parks is very important. Have to plan for parks. Pocket parks are not just places that get mowed and maybe nobody goes to. It's places where people recreate and get away from the busyness of life, a place to think about things or just sit and listen to a bird and watch people walk by with their dog. So, planning for a dog park, planning for a pickleball court takes money, and I hope it's reflected in this budget. It's in here someplace, but I'm not sure. So that's one of the things that I would like to remind you, is that the policy document as well as the financial document. And that's basically it. I'm glad it's getting done, but I'm sad that most of the discussion that has taken place has been in committee meetings. Last week was a good example. There was a reading of the budget. There was a workshop after it. And I don't recall any questions being asked about that budget after the public hearing was done. No discussion, no back and forth, no questions. And that's the place that the public is, that's where we're watching, and it just sounds like you didn't care. Tonight, you did care. There are questions asked. Clint brought out information that he got, he's sharing. John and Vic, Mr. Cave and Mr. Jones are sharing. And I just would like to see a lot of that beforehand, and I hope we, the community, will be seeing it in the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further comments from the audience regarding the 2015 budget? Seeing none, roll call of council, please.
Councilmember Steiger?
Yes.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Gerberding?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Cave?
Aye.
Councilmember Olivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Putnam?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Excellent. Good job, council, and we have a 2015 budget. Yay. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Any discussion?
There's a typo
A typo?
in the council minutes, you were here and not here.
You what? I was here and not
Not
here.
here, on the 17th.
I wasn't here. It was fair, right? That's right. I was laying in the hospital going, Okay, so with that correction, all those in favor of the consent agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, seeing no further business, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.